from Austin, Texas, and I run a publishing company for Keller Realty with my partner, Gary Keller. My favorite disruptive heroes were actually two of my bosses and mentors. The first one was David Hirshey. He was an executive editor. I worked for HarperCollins, and he had spent about 10 or 11 years as deputy editor for Esquire. And I remember I was learning the book trade with him, and I was his assistant, and I would type up his rejection letters. I would run errands for him. I would read manuscripts, and he was always gone. He would go to breakfast with people. He would go to lunch with people. He would have drinks in the afternoon and then dinner. And I can remember adding up his expense count at the end of each month as a poor, underpaid editorial assistant. And at the time, I didn't understand the context, and I was a little bitter about it. And it took me years to learn this lesson. But what David Hirshey was the best lead-generating editor in the business. There was a reason he had all the best-selling books. It's because he was out there beating the streets for the next title. And it just took me a long time as a young professional to realize what he was doing wasn't just having fun on the company dime. He wasn't giving all the hard work to me. He was role modeling what great writers do, which is make connections with other people so that they can find the best stories. And that absolutely radically changed the way I looked at the craft of writing books. The other disruptive hero is my current partner, Gary Keller. And if you ask me or my wife what's the one thing that he's brought to our life is he's forced us to think bigger than we've ever thought possible. Every time I come to him with a goal, he'll just politely ask the question, but couldn't you do X? And X is usually some multiple of what I consider doing. As an example, on the book that we recently launched, we set a goal of selling 100,000 copies in the first year, which I thought was really big thinking. And within a series of about 3 meetings, the goal had reached a 10 times number, and our goal was to pre-sell 100,000 copies. And granted, we didn't hit those goals, but we got a huge percentage of that goal. But it changed my thinking. When you think bigger, you ask bigger questions, and you find bigger answers. And so I'll always be thankful for him because he disrupts me on a daily basis by making me think big. One of my favorite disruptors that we probably don't see enough in this world is the amazing ability of some people to say no. Well, I read the Steve Jobs biography after he passed away. But one of the little details that I think got glossed over, and I never saw anyone write about, just absolutely, again, disrupted the way I kind of look at things. When Steve Jobs was fired and then invited back in 1997, Apple, and I've been a Mac guy forever. I mean, I had a Macintosh in college. And they had 350 products. If you remember, they had printers and scanners and flatbeds and you name it, they would slap an Apple logo on it. Well, they brought him back, and within 2 years, he said no so much there were only 10 products left. And that's kind of the beginning of what people saw as the resurgence of Apple. And people throw around less is more, less is more, less is more. But that was one of the most concrete examples I've ever seen of anyone so willing to say no to stuff that wasn't part of their core mission. And last summer is when on spring break is when I read that, and it absolutely became kind of a battle cry for me that someone would be willing to use the word no as such a massive disruptor in the face of technology and so many other things that want us to say yes. So that's the first thing I think of when I think about a big disruptive change that has changed me. The disruptive change I'm currently struggling with is a generational gap in values around their career. I'm fortunate enough to be a partner in multiple businesses and employ lots of young people, and the millennials, and there's nothing against them, but I read recently in Forbes that they expect to have as many as 9 careers in their lifetime. And as someone from kind of the leading edge of Generation X, this just kind of blows my mind because I'm a little bit more loyal to the career, if not the workplace. And that has been incredibly disruptive to me because as an owner, as a business leader in an organization, I'm making investments in people to help them grow. And then every couple of years, you get to go right back through that cycle. And this has been really disruptive for me because you build around people. That's the essence of a great business in my mind. So I've actually got a coach, and he's been holding me accountable for the last 2 years to building a better bench. That has been the thing that I've struggled with. I'm not naturally going to pick up the phone and call people all the time and say, who do you know? So I actually hired someone to make me do it. But it's something I'm struggling with because it's not a natural thing for me. But building a bench, because the nature of the game, how you acquire talent for your business and keep it, has radically changed.